Hi and welcome back to Series 2 of the Good Eggs podcast. We're back here at Diego's Joint in Sunderland, and today we've got a fantastic guest lined up. We've got Holly James from Atlas Theatre Company CIC. So, let's go and meet her. Well, welcome to Diego's Joint, Holly.
Hello. Thank you so much.
Is this your first time here, by the way, or?
No, I've come here a couple of times. We bought the community company here when we were doing ghost tours. So we sort of came here after one of our sessions as well. So
Cool.
we rehearsed not far out, like just around the corner,
right.
For the community company. So yes, it's a little just around the corner for us.
Oh, so you're back to homecoming.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, thanks so much for agreeing to do the Good Eggs podcast. Great to have you on because you are a good egg. And we're going to talk a little bit about you, about your journey, kind of where you've come from, where you're going to, and the amazing work that you're doing out there in the community. So first of all, Holly, who are you and where you're from?
So my name is Holly James. And I'm from Atlas Theatre Company, and we're a community arts engagement theatre company. Do you mean locationally?
Well, I tell you, let's go,
everything.
Well, let's go there. So tell us a little bit about Atlas first of all. So, in a couple of sentences, how would you describe Atlas?
So Atlas is a organisation that tries to make theatre as accessible as possible to everyone in the community. So we have a community company, which I was talking about, which is anyone over the age of 18. But we also have like things like school partnerships. So we work in local primary schools. We run different sort of incentives. So we had our free arts week this year as well. We do like toddler groups. We have, I think the youngest person to ever come to Atlas was 11 days old.
Oh, 11 days,
yeah,
wow.
11 days old
Crikey.
was our youngest little Atlas person. So it's just basically trying to make sort of theatre and that kind of aspect of that drama just more accessible.
Love that. So, yes, where are you from then? Because that's not a Macam accent, is it?
No, it's not a Macam accent. I'm a bit of a move around. So I was born in Lewisham. I was born in the southeast London, and then we moved quite a lot. So we moved to Surrey, and then we moved to the West Country. So I lived in a beautiful little town in Somerset called Frome. And I was
Frome. Why have I heard of Frome?
Oh, do you know what? Frome is like it's a very special, unique place.
Yeah.
It's like this sort of essentially it's a small town with such a beautiful history, but so much creativity. And you get so many people that have kind of just come out of Frome going in to do things. So Jensen Button, the Formula 1 driver, was from Frome.
Wow, okay, right.
They've had quite some big actors come out of Frome. They've got an amazing creative arts scene. They've got the Merlin Theatre, the Memorial Theatre. So for a sort of town, it has such a rich kind of cultural setting. So I think quite a lot of people, when I say Frome, are like, oh yeah, I know Frome.
Yeah.
We lived in Frome for a while, and then I moved just across the border to Westbury in Wiltshire, where I went to school for my secondary school. And then I decided, right, I want to go somewhere totally different, and ended up in Sunderland.
Why would you not? Beautiful beaches, freezing cold winters. Why would you not want to be here?
Do you know what? It's such a special place in my heart, and actually, it's probably the place I've chosen to live.
Yeah, I love that.
When I moved around a lot as a child, it wasn't my kind of decision to move. I moved because my parents were moving, or my parents split and things and stuff. So it was the first place that I moved to, and I chose to be here, and I chose to stay here, and my life is here, and my children were born, in the northeast now, and this is home. This is home.
So let's talk about your childhood then, Holly. So you grew up in Lewisham. You were there when you were a small child?
Yeah, so I was in Lewisham. I was in sort of the south east area for sort of my early years, and kind of early primary school. I moved in year 3.
Oh, wow.
Actually, I was about
That must have been tough.
Yeah, I think it was hard because I'd only ever known that side of life. I was brought up quite heavily by my grandma and my uncle. My mum worked like a full-time job in central London. And so she would leave at 6 a.m. in the morning. She'd be back, sort of bedtime. My dad's an actor, was on tour a lot. So it was quite often, it was my grandma that would take me to school in the morning, and it was my uncle that would pick me up. So they were a massive influence on my life, and actually on my children's life now. My uncle, he didn't marry, didn't have his own children. We were very much it. And when my grandpa passed, he moved to Sunderland. to be close to us. And he now, you know, tomorrow he's picking up my little girl and my little boy from school. So it's all full circle. So I think, you know, it was hard when we moved over to Somerset because I left a lot of what I knew kind of behind. And it was a day and age where you didn't have your Facebook and your social media. It wasn't as connected. So, like, you know, I would be ringing their landline and I knew their landline off by heart. And, you know, I'd ring them at, God knows, my grandma, bless her, I did a paper round and she'd wake up, honestly. And you only think about it when you get a bit older. But, thinking about it now, like, she used to wake up at 6 a.m. to speak to me on the phone for the entirety of my paper round every morning, every morning before school. And I was just thinking, actually, she probably wouldn't have got off at 6 a.m. normally, but she did that just to speak to me on the way whilst I did my paper round. And
you know, I had a paper round as well. It's one of the best things I ever did as a young person. I think it really gives you that bit of responsibility. Get up off your backside, get out there, do something.
No, for sure.
I used to love it. I used to get heard about between 12 to 15 quid a week. I mean, it was nothing really.
It was mad, wasn't it?
It was great.
It was like great. Nothing. Like when you look back at it, you're like...
slave labour, really. It was quite a tough gig.
I got my little pay packet with £12 in the week for getting up at like 6 a.m. every morning before school. Like, it was the best £12 of my life.
Do you know, it's really funny, actually. I was talking to somebody about this recently, and where I delivered my papers was in a place called Hendon in Sunderland, which is quite what people see as a rough area. But long story short, it was a bit of a nicer estate just at the top near Ashbrook. These big houses, huge houses. And I remember there was a Christmas time, I was about 13 or 14. And it was Christmas tip time, you know. And as a paper boy or girl, it's a good time when you get a £5 note. Yeah. Anyway, so this lady comes to the door and she went, "Oh, hello there, son." She went, "Happy Christmas." And she gave me a present. And I was like, "Oh, that's lovely, you know, a present." Anyway, I wasn't allowed to open it for, obviously, until Christmas Day. My mum wouldn't let me open it. I remember opening it and it was a calculator, right? And I remember being really angry, right? And really disappointed. Why should she give me a calculator? And you know what? For years and years, I was really like a bit grumpy about it. Right? But when I look back now, I think, such a nice thing, isn't it? Yeah. She thought about, actually, the lad's a kid, he wants this. And I look back now and I go, that was a really kind thing you did, and I just didn't appreciate it.
You thought about it.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress. But so you had a paper round when you were a young kid, and was your mum an actor as well, or was it just your dad? No,
just so my mum worked in various sort of businesses and things. Yeah, my dad was an actor.
Okay.
So,
anything we've seen him in, or?
Yeah. So, I mean, he used to do a lot of theatre when I grew up. So I spent a lot of time. I was very fortunate. Again, I think as a child, didn't realise how fortunate I was. It was just life, getting dragged around all these theatres.
Is that what he did, theatre acting, was it? Or?
He did a lot of theatre. He did some stuff at the Globe. Like, he was very good friends with Mark Rylance, Sir Mark Rylance now. Who at the time was the artistic director at the Globe. So there's these pictures of me at like 2, sort of like in sort of what is kind of like the standing area of the Globe now, where it was all being like reconstructed around.
Oh, wow.
And this is amazing. So yeah, I kind of got pulled around all these sort of theatres. But yeah, he did a lot of theatre acting, and he did Doctor Who.
Oh, wow.
He did. He's just done Wicked, so the Wicked movie. He's the cute little man with the mustache.
That's amazing.
Yeah, which is a brilliant story in itself as well, because you know, that was down to hair and makeup really. Like his lines originally were going to be like off script, off screen, I think. And he had this brilliant mustache come on, and like John Shue like directed it. I was like, "Oh, I love the mustache, I love the mustache." And then Ariana Grande was calling him like the cute little man with the mustache, and it just sort of like clicked, and all of a sudden like there it was, you know, he's like on the trailer on the train. So he's just done that. He's working on some things at the minute. I think I'm not allowed to say, but you'll probably see him again soon on some other stuff.
That's amazing. So he's, you know, for want of a better word, he's this might sound disrespectful, but he's a proper actor, I guess. He's done it, and he's been there, and he's, you know, that's huge, isn't it? That must have been. So I'm guessing as you grew up, you kind of were around celebrity to a degree, and TV and things like that. Is that kind of fair to say? Was that kind of your life, or?
It was very much like kind of, that was the sort of the norm. Like my godmum, she was in Casualty for years.
Oh, wow.
She's just left Emmerdale. She was playing Wendy in Emmerdale.
Who what's her name?
Susan Cookson.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So yeah, it was very much like I grew up around all of these flamboyant, brilliant people. Which I think obviously kind of led me down the route that I ended up going down. But I like to think I tried something different.
So, went to school. What were you like as a kid? Good kid, naughty kid, bit mischievous?
No, I was a good kid. I think I was a bit of a misfit.
Okay.
I think I was a bit of a misfit. I think one moment that sort of sticks with me is I had this teacher. She was a brilliant woman. And it was, I moved schools quite a lot. So I didn't really have solid friendship groups in places. Everyone kind of already knew each other by the time I got there.
That's really tough though, I always think for young people, isn't it?
Yeah, like I do think, and actually I think when I look back at my childhood, like the majority of the people that I am still in contact now are staff. I've gone back to Froome and I've gone for dinner with like my old drama teacher and things. I've got like sort of a couple of close friends, but a lot of the friends I made were through theatre and amateur dramatics and things like that. But I had this one teacher and she kept me back at lunchtime. And she's like, oh, why have I kept you back? And this was probably like first or second week in. And I was like, oh, because I was talking. Like, do you know what I mean? She was like, no, because you were trying to fit in with the wrong people. You were trying to like be this sort of clown of a class to get people to like, you weren't being yourself. You weren't being authentic. And she kind of just like, and that sort of stuck with me because I thought, actually, no, what she wasn't doing was telling me off. Actually, she was telling me to be myself. And it doesn't matter, like, that I don't have to fit in. I can just come in and be me and let it all just kind of fall into place. And I just thought, that's interesting.
It's really good, that, isn't it?
But she, honestly, I think she was probably one of my inspirations in life, really, Sarah Phillips. She's actually one of the patrons for Atlas as well now. Like, years on, we've kind of, like, connected that. She was the music teacher when I first started. She then became, she was my singing teacher. And honestly, she was amazing. Like, it got to a point, there was sort of a stage where, like, my family couldn't afford to carry on singing lessons and things. And she just went, no, like, I'm still going to teach you. And she did, and she carried on. And I just think that's probably quite a big influence. Out of all of the influences, because I think people go, oh, yeah, well, you grew up with this, you grew up with it. Like, actually, like...
Small things, isn't it?
Yeah, it was the small things that actually changed the way that I kind of view creativity and the route that, and massively kind of... inspired the route that I went down instead, So I think that school was a huge thing for me. Matravers in Westbury, which is my secondary school, like their creative team was just like incredible. And like even now at the ripe age of coming up to 32, my creative identity, I would say, very much stems from what I learned when I was 15, in the dance studio, in the drama studio, bringing those two ideas together, and I create quite a lot of work that is sort of almost, I suppose, sort of physical theatre-y kind of. There's a lot of movement, not necessarily dance, but like sort of drama, where drama and dance kind of meet in the middle. And I feel like that very much comes from the influences that I had in Matravers in my secondary school with those members of staff.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because people don't often think that when they're a young person, the things that they're doing are seeding the rest of their life
massively.
And then, isn't it? Those, you talk about education in school, and some young people might think it's not important, or all of it's not necessarily the education, but it's every element of life in those years creates what you are today. And we were talking about it on another episode about the effect COVID had on people, and almost a lost generation that didn't have that kind of bedding in it. And I think it's true, isn't it?
Oh, massively.
You must see it with some of the younger people that you're working with now, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, my little girl, she was born sort of 4 weeks into the lockdown. And that was, like, wild. So, yeah, she was born in the April, and obviously we went into lockdown, I think it was like end of March sort of time. And, that was such a massive part of it was our first experience of parenting. And also where our family lived so far away, they never got to see her. They never got to experience those early years, and she definitely had to like learn to kind of almost re-enter the world, because the world very much what she knew wasn't what we all knew. No. And when we did eventually take her out, she had sort of. I remember walking through the bridges, and she was almost doing a sort of like nervous laugh because she was kind of like, there's a whole world out here. But I think in COVID was obviously creatively like a massive thing, wasn't it?
It killed your industry in many ways, didn't it?
I mean, we had a show, we were doing Robin Hood, the community company were doing Robin Hood, and on the Sunday we had the full tech and dress rehearsal, and we'd taken our cameras in to take pictures of everything, because we were going, the show was the week after, and we were like, I don't know if this is going to happen. We could see behind the scenes ticket sales had just stopped. People before the kind of even got cancelled, people were worried to come. You could tell that. And literally had the rehearsal on a Sunday, and on the Monday the announcement was made that all things were going to shut. And so then everyone's contacting me, but at this point we were working with the university, so I had to wait for the university to go, yeah, we're not going to be able to go ahead before I could tell them. So I was saying, emailing them on the Tuesday, I think it was, saying like, can I just confirm this before we pull the plug? But like, yeah, that was months and months and months of people's passion and work. And for some people, like, they've never performed before. No. So the build up of that, and the kind of the personal journey of that, to suddenly have that pulled the week before was just, like, just
funny enough, I was due to, I was part of an opera at the time.
Amazing, love that fact.
So Sunderland Opera was a thing, and we were going to. It was a community opera, and there was about 50 people involved in this community opera, and very similar kind of to what you were talking about. There was 50 odd people from all different walks of life, and had been rehearsing and practicing, and then all of a sudden lockdown came, and it was like boom, gone, and moving into a different way of working was tough for everybody, obviously. But I think for anybody who had that passion, that project, and were getting towards a goal, to have that ripped away, just like the whole creative sector, was horrific, wasn't it? Yeah. So going back, you were at school, did all right?
Yeah, did all right. Yeah. I spent a lot of my time doing shows and performances and things like that, but that was my passion.
Were you always a bit am-drammy, would you say? Is that fair to say in those days?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like, so I always did the school show. I always did sort of shows at the Merlin, shows at the Memorial. There was the Athenaeum in Warminster as well. So I spent myself spent a lot of my energy in creative arts. But I kind of just feel like I loved it as a child, because like, looking back, I kind of was like, probably maybe I wouldn't be so bold now. Now I'm older and have responsibilities, but I was like, right, no, this is what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't care, if you say I've got to pay more attention to this or that. I was like, no, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm gonna do. And thankfully, it's kind of worked. But I was very much set in, like, I was gonna work in creative arts. I didn't anticipate that this would be the way I work in creative arts. This was it, kind of, Atlas, and the way Atlas evolved was sort of a passion that I kind of almost discovered myself. I think there was always an expectation of me as a child of being like my dad's child, and I was quite flamboyant. And everyone was like, oh, well, she's going to be on the stage. And so there was almost an expectation kind of set that I felt that I needed to fulfill. And actually then I just kind of discovered actually my passion in creative arts was different. It was people rather than... Yeah, it was people rather than personal performance. It was working with people.
That's interesting. So did you think acting was the way forward for you, would you say, when you were...
Yeah, because I guess
obviously because of your dad as well.
Yeah, I didn't really know or see another kind of option. I just thought, right, well, I'm going to do what my dad does. I'm going to do that. And I did for a bit. And I thought, well, actually, I'm enjoying this. But actually, like, I didn't feel the same kind of passion that I felt about when I started doing some, like, working with people and directing other people and also, I suppose, teaching as well, because I think kind of directing and teaching, like, in the way I work, kind of almost come very close together, because you're trying to get the best out of people. And that, that's what teachers do, and that's what, the way I direct is all about trying to get the best. And so my kind of biggest, like, oh, that was amazing moment was when it clicked for somebody else. And we saw, like, their journey, and I felt like that's where my kind of passion started. And so then it just sort of, I just changed, like slowly, kind of the course that I was on, to kind of, it all became more like people focused and kind of working with people.
So how old were you when you kind of made that switch, do you think, ish? Quite young still, or kind of in your 20s?
Yeah, quite young. So I was in my third year of... I love the impulsiveness of my child, like of my younger self. I just wish I had a bit more like that. I can't even tell you. Like, I was walking between what was Wilkinson's and the Bridges, and in that small gap across Market Square, I'm going to set up a theatre company for people that, like, might want to come back to performing arts that did it as a kid. Because I kind of thought, well, at university, and I was at university at the time, so at university, it's very much like, it feels like a space where you can try something new for the first time. Do you know what I mean? You're like, oh, I'm going to uni, I'm going to try, like, the scuba diving society. Do you know what I mean? It's a space where people automatically go, oh, I'll try something new. So that's how it sort of started, was like the idea of giving people the option to try something new, and that being kind of performing arts. So I went in with the intention of creating a space where people could try something new. And we've had such a mixed bag ever since. So we worked with the university for about 8 years, where it was kind of like a society set up, which I then continued to run when I left university.
How did you get in with the uni? Were you a student there?
Well, I was a student. I set it up in my third year. Right. I then did a PSET, and then the student union at the time decided actually we're on to a kind of a good thing. And so when I was graduating, they wanted to keep it going. And I said, well, yeah, if I can carry on doing it. So it kind of carried on until last year where we switched to being a kick. But I mean, in that time, we've worked with so, you know, from it being a place where people can come back to performing or try performing. You know, we've had people who are studying, we've had people who are graduated and coming back. So you've got people with experience, you've got people who are literally treading the boards for the very, very first time. You've got people who have maybe done quite a bit of performing in their own country and actually like English as a second language. So now they're transferring those skills and doing it in a different language. So it's such a mixed bag of people who just want to kind of explore their creativity. And every single person is kind of welcome in that setup, and every single person becomes part of a company, and we all have that common aim of putting on kind of a performance or an event. So
when you came to Sunderland, what was your kind of view on the creative sector and on the arts? Would you say there was much of a kind of culture around that at the time, or not so much? I mean, what year are we talking here when you
So I came in, it was 2013.
Okay.
In 2013. I think there was probably more going on than I knew about.
Do you think there was lots of people pocketed away that weren't really shouting about it as much?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, when I first come to university, I was very much within the university bubble.
Yeah.
I think. So my knowledge was very much kind of like, I was in a new space. I was 18, 19. It was very much about kind of finding my own feet in a city that I hadn't been before. I think, you know, I wasn't aware as much as maybe I should have been about the things that were happening in the city. But like, I think there's so much growth. There is so much growth in terms of, I don't know whether it's more that like my naivety is kind of diminished and I've learnt more and more that's happening. Or actually just the vibrancy and the amount of things that are now happening is just incredible.
I think that's true. And I think you came in 2013, so you'll have been part of, you know, City of Culture.
I was about to say City of Culture happened, and obviously there's a lot of things.
I think it was a catalyst, wasn't it?
And I think like whether or not it most likely probably created more things as well, but also it highlighted a lot of things that were happening to everybody in the city. And I think actually you suddenly realise that how much was happening in Sunderland that there was really to be proud of in terms of that creative sector.
I always go back to City of Culture as the catalyst for the cultural shift in Sunderland. And
I think, and
I really think across all of the arts, really, since 2019, 2018, when the bid was kind of put in, it's just grown and grown and grown.
Oh, I think like the way it's grown now is absolutely incredible.
It's great.
Like I was at the event last week, the BIC one, the cultural the creative collaboration, and the amount of people in the room was just like exceptional. Yeah, and hearing everybody talking about what they're doing, and you know, and actually like people wanting to hook up, people wanting to like, you know, right, how can we work together? How can we work together? And there's a real like beautiful culture in Sunderland, I think, of creative organisations wanting to collaborate and wanting to work together to better serve the cultural kind of community of Sunderland. I think that's amazing. Like, you know, a lot of places you potentially won't get that kind of level of actually, no, we all have a common aim. And actually we can work to achieve that. You know, we've been doing quite a lot of work with the Art Cafe, which they're now opening a space. We've been doing sort of putting Sunderland in the frame over the summer, and art festivals with Sue Divine, Sunderland Beard and things. And again, there's been so many creative like people involved and stuff. And so actually, I think what Sunderland do really well, and are doing really well, is bringing those people together to then grow again, you know.
That's good. So going back to your business, so you finished uni, you've kind of had the conversation with the university about what's going to be next. Where does the idea come for a business, or was it never going to be a business at first?
I think it was always, we always intended to expand out. So when we were working with the university, we were a society. I kind of used to have to fight a little bit for alumni to come back and be involved. So we had to set up like an alumni membership and things, because we didn't want people to discover something and then just suddenly, like, because they were no longer a student there, they had to leave. So we kind of, it was really like beautiful organisation that we set. It was a really nice little group that we had, but actually we couldn't take it any further than that. So November last year, we decided, right, we're gonna grow this. We're gonna become a kick. So we contacted the BIC because I had no idea. All I knew was I had a lot of gaps to fill. So I worked with the digital incubator at the Sunderland, at the University of Sunderland, and I worked with the BIC to kind of try and fill those knowledge gaps. And since then, like what we hoped would happen is happening. So now we have 4 primary schools that work with us on our school partnership programme. And so what that is instead of it just being like an after-school club, like our kid, they come to a drama club. We kind of want to be a part of that school. We become part of that community. So we have children from years 2 to 6, and they form their own little theatre company, their own little Atlas Theatre Company, and they put on a production at the end of the year. The ticket sales go back into the school to fund the educational programmes or whatever the school feel like they need to fund. And then we get other parts of the school involved in that creativity as well. So this year we did Treasure Island. That was the show in the summer. And we had a school-wide competition to design the treasure map. So there was a little boy, I think he was in year 5, maybe year 6, who had designed the map, and that was used as the prop for the show. This year we're doing a production. It's Willows on the Weir that we're working on. And we're going to get all the children are going to decorate their own leaves based on their version of what Sunderland is for them. So like it's kind of almost about all kind of bringing in creativity into a school, not just sort of through just us creating a drama club, but by getting other parts of the school involved as well. We also kind of run free workshops as well. So we've done quite a lot of stuff in early years because we're aware that we run from years 2 up, but actually that you've still got school nursery, you've got year 1 reception. So we did like a 3-week reception year 1, kids create, and that was completely funded by the local community. So we ran a crowdfunder campaign, and money raised, we spent, and we did 3 weeks with reception year 1, and they created their own little performances, and they did their performance back to their grown-ups at the end. So we try and kind of yes, we were going in and doing an after-school club, but actually it's a little bit more than that. We've raised money for the PTA. Cool. It's about using creative arts to kind of, to
the more you bring in, the more you can do.
Yeah.
So going back to when you said there was some gaps in your knowledge with starting the business, how would you describe those gaps? What were the things that you probably needed a bit more support with, would you say?
Confidence.
Yeah.
I think that when I was coming to sessions,
it's really surprising you're saying confidence, given your background and what you do. I guess that's. So talk to me a little bit about that.
I think. Do you know what? I think there's a common misconception with performing arts people quite often that we're really great socialites, really good at public speaking or enjoy that kind of hey, I just love being by myself, going for a walk down the beach. If no one talks to me, I'm alright. But yeah, I think confidence because I was confident in my craft. Yeah. I knew what I could do, but actually putting that into a business setup, I didn't know what. I thought kick was spelled K-I-C-K. I didn't know. There's a lot of words and letters and things. Oh God, what is this? That and now I sound stupid because I don't know what that means.
Did you think there's a bit of imposter syndrome in there? Yeah. Thinking, I'm not a social entrepreneur. I'm not a business person. I am just this. Do you think there was a little bit of that?
Yeah, no, I do. I definitely think that there was an element of can I make that jump? Can I do that? And obviously there's legalities of things that you have to sign and things, you've got that responsibility to uphold and keep and, so I think that there was more, instead of it being completely just a knowledge gap, I think it was more kind of having the confidence to be yes, I can actually do that. And the confidence in the knowledge that I have is correct as well and things as well.
How would you say you got the confidence? How would you say that kind of came about? Would you say there was a specific reason that you all of a sudden you became a bit more confident and you thought, actually, I'm just going to do it?
Yeah, getting involved in a lot of the things that are available. I got a membership for the digital incubator. So I did their startup program and did a lot of their sort of startup stuff and went to a lot of their sessions, and they have a lot of speakers. I contacted the BIC, got involved there, had lots of one-to-ones, sort of connecting for good and all those sort of things. So I think, and I say it's about performing. The more you do it, the more confident you get about doing it. The first time you tread the boards is terrifying. Like, you know, but actually the more you kind of speak to people, and the more you kind of like, okay,
get a bit of
like,
reassurance,
it's exposure.
It's
Exposure to a world that I hadn't had. You know, like creatively, and that world I knew, but it was exposure to a business world and being confident and comfortable to move about in that world. Even things like just networking events like Connecting for Good, where you're having to talk to people and, you know, and like networking is always a bit stressful and a bit hard because it's, you know, it's nerve-wracking. You're talking to people and you're trying to like communicate yourself and things, but the more you kind of did those sorts of things, it just gave the exposure to it all, I think, gave me more confidence.
So you'd say to anybody, really get out there and talk to people.
Yeah, massively.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you some excellent questions now. See what we did there.
Yeah, I loved it. Not quite Easter yet, but
so I've got 3 questions for you about the business, really.
Yeah.
And in terms of kind of your advice and guidance you would give to others, really, who maybe you're looking to start a socially focused business or something to help the community. So what would you say has been your scrambled egg moment since you started?
My scrambled egg moment.
That moment where it's maybe not gone so well and you've maybe, you know, or something hasn't worked the way you thought it was going to.
I think like the time frame. I think that like you forget yourself, I think, a little bit. And actually, you know, that you have so much going on, especially in this first year as well. Everything, it's a bit like there's that line from Lord of the Rings, isn't it? Like butter spread over too much bread. Not leaning on people or speaking to people. We've got like, you know, 2 amazing kick directors as well. And I know this year and the first part of this year, I've been totally guilty of going, right, we'll just do it, we'll do it. And actually like, kind of not them going, okay, well, we can give our time for free as well. Do you know what I mean? You don't just have to like constantly, and like being, because obviously when I was at the university, it was just me. And actually our kick directors are incredible and they have their own brilliant journeys. So Abby, she was in the very first company when we first started at the university. So she's done this entire journey with us. Sarah joined in COVID when we were doing things online. So both of them have been members of the company. And like they've got these incredible like sort of their own Atlas journeys. And I know at the beginning of this year I was very much kind of like guilty of still trying to keep everything on me plate when actually that doesn't have to be that way.
Share the load, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's definitely what I would recommend is people, you know, like is lean on the people that are around you and are willing to support, you know, what you're doing and things like that. And now, you know, it's Atlas has gone very much from being a thing that I'm running, like, you know, to a thing that we run. This is
that's
our
what you
thing.
always wanted, wasn't it? The community aspect, wasn't
and that transition has been, like, I think kind of at the beginning I was a bit like, it's a bit of like let go of that kind of reign.
That's always tough,
like,
isn't it, I guess, for because you are a social entrepreneur. It's that letting go of the steering wheel and handing it over to people now and again. Not always, but sometimes just letting other people drive. I'm guessing that must be quite difficult.
Yeah, like it was a transition that I had to go through, and like I'm so glad that I have, because, you know, like working with them is incredible. Abby's like running 2. We've got 4 schools. Abby's doing 2 of those. Sarah's very much working with us on the Willows and Weir project, doing a lot of like kind of like the behind the scenes stuff. And it's very much clicked into this is our thing. Do you know what I mean? Which after years of kind of having to do it like sort of almost, you know, like you're the one having to make the decisions, like the final decisions, to kind of then moving that out is like been, I think that the beginning was a bit like, whoa, like I don't want to put this on, I don't want to make you do that, I don't want to make you do that. And it was more of a kind of I don't want to make you volunteer your time. And they're like, but that's what we're here for. Like that's what we're doing. So I think that at the beginning, but again, it's a learning thing, isn't it? It's a transition.
So I guess that brings us nicely on. What would you say? What's your golden egg? What would you say is your golden egg? What's your one nugget of advice?
My one nugget of advice would be get involved with things. Like take time to go to events, go to networking events. I think sometimes it can be hard when you've got so much on because you're running your own business, you're running your own social enterprise, you're doing all this work that you have to do for it to run. But actually, the one thing that I leave every single time I've gone to a networking event or like any kind of event, I'm just like, oh God, that was so important to be there today. It was so important to be in the room. You know, it's a bit like Hamilton and be in the room where it happens sort of thing. Like, it was so important to be there. and hear other people's stories and be involved, and it almost like gives you ideas, it gives you inspirations, it gives you connections to talk to. So go to those sorts of things, look what's around, because actually Sunderland is very rich for that. There, as a city, we're very good at having those kind of events happening. So look what's out there and get involved in those things. Would be my advice.
I love that, and there's just so much going on, isn't there? You really
so much. Yeah. We're so lucky.
Yeah, I think sometimes we're guilty of not, and we did this a lot during the City of Culture bit, but we don't bang our own drum enough, and lots of that's because we've often been in the shadows sometimes, or whatever it might be, lots of reasons. But actually, we need to bang our own drum.
Yeah, do you know what, I say this all the time, because like I think with Sunderland, like I chose to be here. I chose to live. I could have chosen anywhere in the country. Like, lots
of people do.
Like I chose to live here, and I every day feel so fortunate that I do. And I think, God, like how fortunate am I that my children grew up along the like Roker Beach and like Seabourn Beach, and like I'm like, wow, like I wouldn't want to go anywhere else. This is amazing. And I think so many people like just forget to pause.
Yeah, that's the way.
We walked up to, as part of our Willows on the Weir project, we walked up to the top of like Cleedon Water Tower.
Nice.
And, like the views, and you're like, wow. Like
on my doorstep.
And I'm like, this is where we live. Like, this is incredible. I feel like we definitely need to bang that drum more.
I've talked to somebody recently who lived in the Midlands, and they were saying they were like 3 hours away from a beach and all this kind of stuff, and they were miles away from this, and I was like, we've got it all here. Yeah. You've got Scotland an hour and a half away. You've got Yorkshire an hour away. You've got the Lake District an hour. Everything's here, pretty much on your doorstep, and you don't even have to venture that far because we've got beaches, parks. I could wax lyrical about something.
Honestly, I'm with you on it. I'm so with you on it.
I guess my final egg-related question is, what keeps you sunny side up?
What keeps me sunny side up? Well, I've talked about a lot of and people and things, and it's small moments. Like I think, like quite often when people say, "Oh, what's the best thing about what you're doing?" Or what are the moments that you go, "Yeah, okay, I'm doing the right thing." And one of them really sticks out was last year at Redby Academy. There was a little girl. She's in year 2, so she's the young end of like our group. And we were doing Treasure Island, and we started in January and all the way through Jan, April, like sort of all the way up to like the Easter like holiday. She's like, oh, how many people are coming? How many people are coming to watch it? And we got after like the Easter holidays and a couple of weekends. She's like, how many people can I bring? And I'm like, yes. Like we've gone that journey from you being like, oh God, this is a massive, overwhelming thing. There's going to be people watching me. How many? I need to know how many chairs they're going to be. Who's going to be watching? But now it's like, actually, I want people here. I want people to see what I'm creating with everybody else. And it's those little moments that I think are really like special when you see someone's journey sort of flip and go, actually, I can do this. Those are kind of the special moments, and we have those. We have those with adults as well. It's not just that it's children related. We have those moments with adults as well. But it's the small little moments that kind of make you go, that's amazing. And also like in personal life as well. Like my little boy's 3. And we've bought him an Atlas hoodie because he loves this, and he sees it. He goes, "It's you, it's you," and he loves it. And then he got his own, and he was like, "Oh, it's you!" And he loves it, and he wears it. And then of course my 5-year-old wanted one because the 3-year-old had one, And I just think, wow, like that's amazing. That like my little 3-year-old boy is like gone, that this is you, and I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, this is me. This is what I'm gonna do. This is. Everybody else in like my family had their little stamp. I was like, no, this is me. This is creating, theatre and, working in the creative arts, but with people, and that's my little step into.
Do you know what? I can hear I can see the passion in you every time you talk about a small win for somebody. I can see it. It kind of lights you up, and that's great.
It's why I do it.
Do you know, I think lots of people who can kind of find their passion or find their way in life, if you can go to bed at night and think, I did something good today, it just makes all that difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Getting out of bed because you want to do something that you care about and you're passionate about.
And I think that's where like it's finding that the right passion. And for me, creative arts was always my passion. Creative arts was always my passion, and I kind of almost went down sort of like the performing route myself because there was an expectation. But then actually, no, I found my passion was somewhere else within that creative industry. And then from there, it's grown, you know, because of the people that we've had supporting us, from the 2 other amazing kick directors that we have working with it. You know, it's grown this year to something that is really quite special. But because it's fueled by the passion, it's fueled by people who go, no, Holly, give me this piece of work to do because I want to do it. It's not because, you know, oh, you're going to give me a paycheck for all that piece of work. You know, we're working as a kick on our first year. I don't mind doing that because actually I believe in what we're doing. You know,
and the money will come.
It is.
It will come.
Oh, it is, and it's growing, and that's amazing. Do you know what I mean? It definitely is growing. And we've seen such a change. When we first started, before we were a kick, we had 22 people involved in a university like group. Now we have, you know, 22 people in a community company, plus this, plus that, plus 4 schools. You know, I think we clocked it as 1 week. I should have these figures, but we clocked it at 1 week. We'd been in loads of different schools. And we'd given free drama workshops to over 100 children that week, and I just think, wow, like we did that. Like, so I think, you know, it's growing, and I'm really proud of that growth, and with that growth, the people that we can reach with that.
Love it. So what's next then?
So this year we're working on a product, talking about which is nice because it's come off the back of that whole kind of like, yeah, we are Sunderland kind of vibe. So we're doing a production called The Willows on the Wear. It's the classic tale of the Wind in the Willows, but set on the banks of the River Wear.
Love that.
It's sponsored by Hayes Travel Foundation.
Excellent.
Give them a shout out. As well as the June Rose project as well. It's basically a story that kind of like takes that classic tale and puts it on our local kind of our river. So we've got stories from the local community. People have sent in memories, and all of that has been written into this this script that kind of like explores and celebrates our local region. So our community company are going to be performing that towards June. And then the schools are also going to be performing their own sort of 20-minute version of that in July in their schools as well. So, and it's about bringing community and education together as well. So literally just this week, we had the community company last night. They were writing words they associated with the River Wear and things. And then they were creating something based on those words. And now this week, the schools are going to write their words, and then there's going to be a big list of words. And like we'll all be using the same words for kind of the inspiration of things we're creating. So actually, although, you know, they're working in separate environments, actually they're all feeding into each other. So yes, we're creating this project, which will kind of happen throughout this year. You'll probably see it pop up in various places, I'm hoping anyway.
So how do people get involved?
Yeah, so we've got the community company that rehearses every Monday. That's 6:30 till 8:30, and we rehearse over at Theatre Space. If you're at a school and you want to get involved, you can just drop us an email. If you go to our website, then there's loads of information about our school partnerships. We also, so our youngest group, that's 0 to 5 years, and that runs, there's a little drama class, we call it, and that runs at the Play Cafe in Seaburn, and that is on a Wednesday, and that's 2 till 2:30. So yeah, there's lots of different things you can get involved in.
Tons of things. And if anybody wants to help the organisation from a different perspective, maybe a sponsorship or get involved from that, how would they go about that?
Oh, like we would absolutely love any help and support in the world that you can get is so, you know, it helps.
Volunteers maybe? Yeah.
Volunteers, sponsors, anything like that. If you just go onto our website, there's a contact us page.
What is your website?
So it's atlastheatrecompany.com.
Yeah.
So you hit up that. And then just contact us through there. And, you know, if there's anyone who's got any kind of skills or wants to sponsor anything or kind of, you know, work with us on anything, then let us know, because 100% we would love, it's all about bringing people together.
Well, that seems like a really good place to end, doesn't it? Holly, it's been, honestly, thank you so much for coming in and chatting. And it's great to hear your story. And I think what you're doing is creating something really special in Sunderland. You know, as you talked about, it's a bit of a city on the march, a city on the rise, and you guys are creating what you might see as a small piece of that, but because you're affecting so many young people, could become a huge piece. You know, we talked at the beginning about things that happen when you're young and the effect it has when you're older, and you're working with so many young people. It's inspiring. So thanks for all you do.
I appreciate your time.
So all that's left for me to do is present you with your good egg.
Amazing.
And say, thank you very much for being a good egg.
Thank you so much. Look at that. I love it.
Cheers. Thanks, Holly. Cheers.
Thank you.
Perfect.